Black Girls in Art Spaces is hosting a Chicago meetup, and we're doing a partnership with Food Before Love. So we're just going to be convening today, enjoying the art, to enjoy the Diasporic, which is the exhibit, and then going over to Dope Drip Cafe to get a bite to eat and talk about art.
Together, and one of these people is Desi, whose exhibit we have here. This exhibit is titled Abuela's House, so it has to do, with the legacy of her abuela, her stories, but also her abuela was the one that taught her how to sew. And so if you notice, these are like really big canvas pieces with sewn in fabrics, kind of highlighting that legacy of her abuelita. And so if you want to follow me, we're going to look at these really quick first. And so, just FYI, Desi is 27 years of age. She is the youngest artist that we've had here so far. She is Afro-Puerto Rican from Florida, Miami. And in here, she uses these family photographs of really her matriarchs, like the people that she says that she grew up with, from a picture of her with her mom, with her abuela, and with her abuela, who's her great-grandmother. That taught her how to sew. And so, in these, a video of the abuela with the mom and the grandmother too, and so it's really, really cool. We also kind of like alongside this exhibit created this space. So before this exhibit was a thing, we already called this Abuelita's Kitchen, funny enough. And so we kind of expanded it to be the sala of abuela, right? The abuela's living room. And so like we're still missing like the plastic over the couch. Like you have the butter cookies that never had butter cookies in them, among many other things. And something that we added too was like photos of our grandparents. And so my abuela, who I'm named after, is right behind you. That's her. That's my baby. Like, and so I feel like it's super super cute. Like I get a lot of students here, and I'm always telling them like get your grandparents' stories now. Like how important, how paramount is it to have that, and to be able to tell that, and for that to pass on, right? And so I feel like this is such a great reminder of that, right? Because we're not just us; we come from so many other people, right, to get us where we are right now. And so I think that that's something really important and a good kind of ending note for this exhibit too. And so without further ado, let's go upstairs.
I just want to say when they do special events here, Abuela's Kitchen is real.
Yeah.
They really do be having chefs in here, so you can come and see some art.
Squeeze one.
For real. No, it's so good. But let's go.
So this mural is by local artist Christian Mogan, and it's dedicated to the indigenous Taino people of the Caribbean who were there for thousands of years before Columbus came.
Yes, Taino.
This is Atabe. She's the mythological goddess of creation for the Taino people. They were a matriarchal society. You are what your mother is. And if there was a time to pick a new cacique or cacica, which is the chief, it was the women who chose. So they were held in high esteem. And you see the brown parts? Those are our ancestors. They walked with us, they're still with us. And then if you look over here, you see how the pink fades after 1492. Within 50 years of Columbus, 85% of the indigenous Taino people were decimated, and they started importing slaves from West Africa.
Yeah.
So if you're Puerto Rican, we are 1/3 African, 1/3 indigenous Taino, and 1/3 Spaniard or Portuguese. That's why we come in all colors. There,
This is how it's done. So they use this pillow, for lack of a better word, with these bobby pins, and basically they interlace as they go and create these different types of laces, specifically the mundillos like this. And so a piece of lace like made big can take like a month, you know. And so think about that when you're looking at these dresses too. They are very time consuming and they come from a very long legacy. And so let us look at the older ones first. Let's go over here. So Emilia Algo, the grandmother, she started making dresses at 37 years old. That is rather late, right? Career-wise, right? And so she basically, after being a fashion critic in New York, she created for her first dress her own wedding dress, which is really, really cool. And so she learned lace from like her mother, among many other people, and she started creating these dresses, which she called collage dresses. So they have like literally like 14 different types of lace, from like French to like from Brussels to English, like super, super crazy. A lot of these too, you're gonna notice with like these designs here, remind me of old bomba dresses, which is really, really interesting. There are a lot of intersections, and I'm gonna highlight that as we kind of go on too.
Can you show what bomba is?
Right. So bomba is a music form in Puerto Rico that starts in the sugarcane plantations of the island by our African peoples, right? And so this was a way of like after a day of being in the field, right, in the plantation like that, they would conversate and kind of be in community together. Normally in the music, right, you're normally like dancing to music, and boba is the complete opposite. Depending on the movements of the dancer, the drummer follows. And so it's like call and response, but with movement, which is really cool. And so this is, this comes from a very long legacy as well in Puerto Rico, right? And so it's really interesting, like these intersections that you see sometimes with something that right now like seems like high fashion, but really came out of people having to make clothes for themselves, right? Which is really interesting to think about how this function works. But let's take a look.
This one is beautiful. Every bead is hand sewn, and when you see the laces colorful, it's hand. It's crazy. It's incredible. Just
And you're going to notice as we go through, we're kind of going forward in time, like we're looking at like disco, kind of like some weird before. That's way. Like there's a really nice one. Like so here, this is also my meeting the grandmother. Here these are like darker dresses as well. You're going to notice a lot of beadwork in this old vest, and it's really interesting how yet again like intersections. Like when she was in Paris, she met with African immigrants that came from Africa to France, and she learned beadwork from them. And so, right, there's like so many different kind of connections también, which is really interesting. These are very detailed, right? Some of these dresses, the majority, like you cannot machine stitch them. These are all hand stitched, which is really crazy and really time consuming. And so it's really cool that as we go on, and we're gonna see in this section, right, her daughter decided to continue on with her legacy too. As you head through this way, these are like, we're literally going forward in time. So Lisa Gaviria is the daughter of Mili. After Mili passes away, she passed away rather young. She was 57 years old, and she passed of breast cancer. And so the daughter Lisa, she was studying in Europe. And after her mother passed, she was thinking about like the stuff that she was doing. And she's like, who do I want to make clothes for? Like, I'm doing it over here, but I'm not doing it for my own people. I want to continue the legacy of my mom, right? And so she goes back to Puerto Rico, opens the flagship store, which currently is in San Juan, and starts creating like, this is like a very Hunger Games type dress here, right? Some of these, I'm gonna highlight some that are like, were commissioned for specific people, which is really cool. But first, as you see, these that have colored lace, and those three up there, these are hand painted as well. So they're literally like works of art in itself, which is really, really amazing. And I'm gonna highlight a really important one that's over here. This purple dress, it was commissioned for Nidia Caro. And Nidia Caro in Puerto Rico was this amazing singer that she won this competition called the OTI, which was basically like imagine Miss Universe but for singers, where like they each represent their country, basically, right? And she was representing Puerto Rico, and she was able to win the 3rd ever OTI. And she was really, really, really amazing. The first person to win an OTI was like Jose from Mexico, which Jose like he literally became famous off that competition. And so it's so cool to have like some dress work from those people with those legacies as well to uphold. You will see also a wedding dress. There's one behind me, not the one that she made for herself, but a representation by Lisa. But also, as Lisa kind of went on doing her work, these are kind of more traditional pieces, kind of highlighting like very closely tied to the work of her mom, with some of these like this one being in collage dress, that literally like this piece of lace would have taken, you know, a month or two to make. And so it's super amazing to kind of see this evolution of work. I'm gonna give you some time to explore. There is a video down there with Lisa when she talks about like the process of making the pieces, but also within towns in Puerto Rico, like in Moca, this is still like they're trying to keep this alive. A lot of these things are like dying out, right? And so you'll get to see kind of the more modern pieces by the granddaughter here. But if you have algunas preguntitas, some questions, that's what I'm here for, okay? Enjoy.
very Bridgerton.
Okay, which one's your fave? Going out with the girls. No. You're in Puerto Rico.
Okay, vision.
Day party, going out. Taking a dress to the nines. What are we
I'm
wearing?
going with this piece back here with the butterfly
Oh yeah, that's so cute.
because It's heat appropriate, right? Temperature appropriate. It stands out. I love the black on a black girl's skin. And then just the colors just pop. It's sexy, flirty, but still conservative. And just free. I love that.
Let me show you. Let me show you my fave.
Very island vibes for me.
Let me show you what I'm finna wear. This one right here.
Okay.
Love the color.
I love the neck piece.
Coral looks great on brown skin. Yeah, the chokers are so cute.
Yeah, the choker is sending me. It's so regal.
Yeah, I was like kind of down.
Cassandra.
That one is like that was
This one right here. And if I can get that in that coral color.
This in the coral color?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
absolutely.
This is so cute.
I
That's
fell in
my
love with that.
It's just so
'Cause it's like
like,
you could, it's like party in the front. You can take the top off.
Pieces that you're gonna see on these two sides are pieces from our collection. These were part of a package that we sent to Puerto Rico as part of the Raul Alejandro residency. Raul Alejandro is a really big artist from the island. And so in this series commemorates the 100 years since the abolishment of slavery in Puerto Rico in 1873. And so in 1973, this collective of artists worked together to make this series talking about that, right? And so some of them talk about themes like, of course, the abolishment from Spain, but also the militarization of Puerto Rico that comes after. Okay, so there were problems that still persisted, right? Things did not change. Puerto Rico in its history has never been free. And so, thinking about that, these artists were kind of looking at those things. Of course, slavery in itself was not technically abolished on that 73, right? It continued. But it's really amazing how these artists were able to represent these different things. These are both lino cuts. Some of them are lino cuts in which, if you've ever done printmaking, they cut into a block of linoleum, so it's carved. And like a stamp, basically they have to do it mirrored so that they can stamp it and make the stamp. Okay? So some of those are with linoleum, some of them are on wood. So they're wood cuts. A little bit harder, more time consuming, and in both of them, if you mess up once, what I really like my favorite kind of piece here is this one. This is by a guy named Antonio. Really, thank you. Really cool guy. That he's about like 86 years old currently. He has been opening exhibits literally he opened one 3 months ago at 86 years old. Really cool artist, and he used to live in my neighborhood in the 80s. My grandpa lived in my home. But these in here, this is called Y tu abuela donde está, and your grandma where is she? Which is the name of a poem, and a really great poem that I think y'all should all read. In this piece, there's a older gentleman, so a grandfather that basically sent a postcard back to Puerto Rico when he moved, saying a message, right? So in this pedestal it says, "No me olvides, don't forget about me," right? I moved away, but don't forget about me. What's missing here in this photo book is the picture of the grandmother, okay? And so why is it called "Y tu abuela donde está," your grandma where is she? Is because in this poem, this person basically seems to think that they don't have any African ancestry, being from Puerto Rico. And so their friend asked them, "And your grandma, where is she?" Because her grandma was a black woman. And so talking about people that would hide, because they were lighter, they would hide aspects of themselves, right? And so these are things that still persist in Puerto Rico. Colorism exists in Puerto Rico, right? And so it's really cool that this artist was able to do that here in this one piece. And so I'm gonna give you some time to explore. There are post-it notes, so you can pick whichever one's your favorite and why, if you want. And yeah, after this, we'll go to the other side. Okay, we're fine.
You guys made it real for it. There's some things that we normally hold back on that we're able to now do with your body. Thank you for allowing us to do that.
Ah! Okay.
You're guaranteed a tour.
Okay. Nice. So you pick which one out of the pieces is your favorite, and you can write down why. Person's favorite.
Claro, blancos y no se libres.
As well as
No,
like
for the white people who don't
it's
speak.
like the Puerto Rican equivalent of like a sketch of the Mona Lisa existed, like this and that. So
Oh, sorry.
that is so it's this big. It is a 30 feet wide, 15 feet tall. Okay, and this artist Rafael Tufino, which we're gonna talk about after, he made it, right? And so this was like the first ever visual piece that visualized plenas, which is a music form in Puerto Rico that now has kind of become famous because of Bad Bunny, like Café con Ron, like that song is mi plena, and people don't know that. But each section of this piece is a song, okay? And so you can look at the specific ones here, but I'm gonna tell you which ones I know. So Santa Maria, which this is like this song that talks about this horn-like beast that comes into the town and terrorizes the town, so it's kind of half bull, half horse. Cortaron Elena, they cut Elena, talking about crimes of passion. Fuego, 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 a fire that happens in a town. Temporal, 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 allá viene temporal. These are all like, talking about like a tempest that comes into Puerto Rico, right? So it's really, really amazing how he was able to do that. But like I explained, like this is the sketch of the mural that ends up being created that is 30 feet wide, 15 feet tall, currently at the Museo de Puerto Rico. And so this was made on cardboard. He was an artist that, he built with what he had, right? And so we're going to get to see one of his most famous series ever over here.
And there's QR codes also.
He became the leader of the Nationalist Party. He went home to Puerto Rico and finished his examination because
It's like that.
they didn't want it.
True. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, there are things that like this stem from very specific seeds. When you talk about that one, yeah, it is a combination.
And you give the third one.
Exactly. Power. I know that whole. That's such a complicated like. I love it, but you gotta be on top of it.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I'll talk about it. I couldn't reach that. Like, so I did not put it up there. I was like, that's not happening for me. All right, beautiful people, feel free to come this way.
We apologize for the noise in the background. Spring cleaning.
Yeah, going hard. These pieces are by Rafael Tufino Figueroa. Rafael Tufino was the artist that created that piece over there, okay, the one with the plenas. In the 1950s, he was one of those artists that straight out of school in Mexico, so he studied Mexican printmaking in Mexico after he got drafted to the war, so he's ATI for that. He basically adapted that Mexican printmaking to like who he was, right, and being Puerto Rican, right? So in the 1950s, some of these artists were like thinking about, okay, I'm Puerto Rican, I was once a part of Spain, now I'm a part of the US, but what is my identity within that? What am I, right? And so these artists in the 50s were creating these portfolios as a means to do that. And so Tufino, what he did, he ended up winning, getting the Guggenheim Fellowship, which is huge. That is a gigantic fellowship out of New York, in which with that money, he basically created this lino cut portfolio highlighting the process of the cultivation of coffee in Puerto Rico from the beginning to the end, chronological, okay? And so these, only 75 of these prints exist. This is series number 15. Some of them are split because people bought one piece and took it with, right? And so this is one of the only, I would believe, complete collections of this work. It is from 1954 and it looks this clean too. So super, super cool. Feel free to look a little bit closer if you have any questions. That's what I'm here for, please.
And in the end, we finished with a party.
What was it? The little girl. She said a coffee party. She said. That was like a.
And the colador, they say that's history, but I have one in my kitchen now. I use it when my machine breaks down. I bring it out and then, sure, okay, we're having coffee. Yeah, actually, you know who was here last week? It's Kevin right here. Ricky.
Yes.
She's asking, how did we choose the tiles? I know you were around in the beginning. I've only been here for years.
Well, I mean, originally the building was, right, it's a historic landmark, right? It's a national landmark. So in trying to retrofit it from a horse stable into a museum, there was an attempt to actually try and make the tiles resemble a lot of the Spanish tile that you would find in Old San Juan. So if you go into like places in Old San Juan, this style of tile will be in the doorways, in the hallways, along the walls. So it really is just to give you that feel of that Spanish colonial architecture. That's really the reason why they selected it throughout.
I mean, I know, but I know where you said you.
Yeah, and it really does. It really does give you that old time feel to it. So it was a perfect thing. Come on, let's go.
But you said this museum used to be a horse's stable?
Yes. So this is the history here. It was a stables and receptory originally. It's a 130-year-old building. It's the last original structure inside of what is now known as Humboldt Park.
Beautiful, thank you.
All right, so really quick, this exhibit is titled Diasporic Collage. It is a collaboration between us. Hello, sorry. Real quick, thank you. So this exhibit is titled Diasporic Collage. It is from Michigan State University, but also Centro, which is the Center of Puerto Rican Studies in Hunter College in New York. And so this exhibit is called Diasporic Collage because these are all, in a way, collage pieces. They are images on top of images, but also talking about diaspora, right? Diaspora talks about people that are originally from somewhere that make community elsewhere, right? So once some of these artists are Puerto Ricans that have moved away from the island and are part of the diaspora, but some of these artists are not even Puerto Rican and have moved into Puerto Rico. And so it's going to be kind of a very interesting dialogue that you're going to see. Specifically, some of these pieces talk about things that a lot of people don't know within the island. There is a Chinese population in Puerto Rico, and they come after basically being laborers for the highways of Puerto Rico. The first ever highways of Puerto Rico were created by Chinese immigrants, okay? And so there is such a thing as Puerto Rican Chinese food, if you do not know. So if you go to Puerto Rico, try it. And it's very interesting because sometimes that's the length of what we know. That is it, right? This is like some of these histories have been hidden, right, for different purposes. And so it's kind of keeping in mind that even within Puerto Rico, we have a westernized view of those people within the island. And so, right, being kind of like introspective. Question. This piece, would you say that this picture was recent or in the past? What do you think? In the past. For those who say in the past, why?
Well, Israel's been terrorizing the Palestinians for the past 80 plus years.
110%.
So,
For those, if anybody thought recent, why would you think that it was recent, right? What do you think? Like, this is something that we're seeing a lot now, right? That is kind of like in the limelight, right? And so this piece is by Aliyah Farid. Aliyah Farid is Puerto Rican Kuwaiti, okay? And she, during her studies in Puerto Rico, she was looking at these old photographs, and she found this photo from the first pro-Palestinian protest in Puerto Rico in 1973 in the Capitol building of Puerto Rico, right? And so what's really interesting to think about is, you know, I normally ask students, I'm like, why are Arab Puerto Ricans in the island protesting against what is happening in Palestine? What is the connection there, right? And there's a lot, right? We have, you know, like I said earlier, right, Puerto Rico has never been free. One, when we became part of the U.S., our flag was illegal. Our language, which was Spanish for almost 300 years, was being changed so that English would be the official language of Puerto Rico, right? And so a lot of things within the island, right, the militarization among many other things, were, you know, they were waking up Puerto Ricans to the things that were happening and how, you know, they could be in solidarity with others, right? And so I feel like this is such an amazing piece that talks about that. And even, right, these things don't end. There's been a lot of silencing of these topics in museums currently, right? And even to talk about this exhibit in particular, the first ever iteration of it closed down because of this piece, okay? And so these are things that still persist, right? These things don't, you know, we need to be a part of these things, and we need to help others understand why these things are important. And so just so that you know, that's why I think it's really important. Nitza, this artist, is the daughter of Rafael Dufino, the guy that did the coffee series, FYI. She is Mexican and Puerto Rican, and so she creates these, like, very inspired by her dad, like she creates these prints as well with family photographs, so photographs of people that mean a lot to her, from her grandmother that basically her parents were sold into slavery. And so looking at how a lot of this history is not that far away from us, right? When we really think about it. Her mother, her when she was a child, her wife, this is Tufino, the artist, her father, and Goyita, who was her abuela from her dad's side. And so all of these aspects kind of making her who she is. And she did it like in the form of a clothing rack too. Yeah, Maria.
I always like to point out that Goyita, Rafael Tufino painted her. Goyita is known as the Mona Lisa.
Because he painted one, like, during a time in which Afro-Puerto Ricans were being represented in art. He painted his, you know, Afro-Puerto Rican grandmother in a setting that was otherwise not shown, right? This was like what people would call like a, you know, this was a shanty town, for lack of a better word. People that would make houses with like what they had, right? But the way that he honored her in that piece is really beautiful. And so we're gonna kind of see a little bit of that too in some photography that's on the other side. But before you head to that other side, these really big ironwork fences are called rejas in Puerto Rico. You will find them a lot in the porches of Puerto Rican homes. A lot of this is like the colonial architecture that comes from Spain. But what she does, Edra, the artist, is that she uses viewfinders to install family photographs in them. So feel free to go and look.
wow.
And also in these fences that you see in Puerto Rico, you see the beautiful scroll work in the fences, okay? And you know, the scroll work are African symbols. Many people don't know that because they're not looking at it, right? But we know. They're African symbols and they commemorate the African iron workers that were in Puerto Rico at the time. You can, but that means that.
Oh, wow.
The video itself is like, so it's supposed to be like a plastic so that's the what it is. And the video itself talks about what we haven't been told about the history that has been hidden. Maybe like, you know, kids that talk to the words about like for them, life started.
Wow.
So,
So cool.
feel free to cross to the other side over here whenever you want.
So cool. Oh my gosh.
Really, this exhibit would not have been possible if it wasn't for the work of this photographer. His name was Frank Espada. He was a Puerto Rican photographer that basically throughout his life went around and took pictures and took the stories of people from Puerto Rico that were becoming part of the diaspora. And so he would go, for example, to like second generation Puerto Ricans in Hawaii, for example. If you don't know, the first ever migration of Puerto Ricans to the United States was in 1899 to Hawaii to work in the sugarcane plantations and the pineapple plants, okay? And that was after a hurricane happened in Puerto Rico, right? Because of the land, right, it was messed up. They made a contract with the United States to go to Hawaii, right? And so a lot of these stories that we sometimes don't know, right? And so he was going around to like, you know, these are in Chicago, these two kids right here are in Puerto Rico, and these two kids, basically, this is kind of like a funny story. They missed their school bus in Puerto Rico. Once you miss your bus, you're not going to school that day. And so,
Oh no.
because they didn't want to get in trouble with their mom, they literally waited in the bus stop till school was out, right? And so I feel like this is something that we all feel, like we've all felt, and it's so cool to kind of see that, right, in this work. And also, right, I was talking about Goyita and right, honoring like our Afro-Puerto Rican population in Puerto Rico. For example, this grandmother here, she is from a barrio called Barrio Tokyo or Barriada Tokyo, which is like Tokyo, Japan. It was like that, right? It was these wooden houses with, which people wouldn't like. These were places that were being painted in the landscapes of Puerto Rico, of course. These weren't places being represented, and people had like a specific view of those places, right? But how beautiful is it that he represented her as a grandma? Like, I think about that, right? Like, he was like looking at all the colors of Puerto Ricans, one, but also like honoring these people that deserve to be honored and the stories deserve to be told. And so if you want to look at like particulars when it comes to these images, these iPads have information and quotes of all of them, all of the people here. And so I'm gonna give you some time to explore the other pieces. If you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. Enjoy. These are the things after this. And this artist is from Ohio, so she's Puerto Rican from Ohio, but she learned how to do this so she could connect better to a person. And so cool. These two videos are very interesting too. This artist is from Loíza, one of the towns where I grew up. In Loíza is known as like kind of the center of the Afro-Puerto Rican population in Puerto Rico and kind of those traditions. In here, this is like a kind of mysticized retelling of the history of Puerto Rico. So in a part of this video, there's like a boat that comes with like Spaniards, in which they bring bags into the shore, and the bags in itself are dates, like 1898, the Spanish-American War, 2017 Hurricane Maria, so times in which there has been a lot of change in Puerto Rico. And so really, really cool. They use like the gigante, which are those masks. Those are made from coconut because of the African woodworkers that lived in Loíza that made basically the saints for the Spanish churches in the capital. And so you might have seen another mask as you headed this way above the water fountain. That one's from the south of Ponce, and it's made from paper mache, so they're very different. Also, this person, Lavon Bell, she's from Tobago, and it's really interesting because she talks about maroon societies in Puerto Rico. So a lot of towns that were built off of people that were escaping the Spanish regime. Like it was, people say like it was runaway slaves, but it was more than that. Like, it was like a culmination of so many groups of people working together to escape that. And this talks about the migration of maroon societies from St. Croix into Puerto Rico, because that happened as well. And so they will use the mangroves as kind of like the Caribbean Underground Railroad. And so they would put rocks in their canoes, hide it underwater, and then at night take the rocks off so that it would float again, and use the mangroves, the roots, to hide. And so a lot of history that is not really taught. So,
Look at the birthday girl right there. She cute. Good.
I just literally got here so early.
It's okay.
Like using the Afro-Puerto Rican like he wanted maybe like a little museum and so to ask us to bring those two series from our collection to and they were exhibited over. And so like stuff like that I'm like, I was like, I'm like, that's my guy. I know him.
Ideal nostalgia band. The Aragon Theater or any other place.
Last words. Please. Thank you. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. Your presence is so very much needed in this space. Among many other things, it's so cool that Vicky was saying, I can talk about these things the way I want to talk about these things, right? And it's so important that this museum is not just this isn't for us. This is for y'all. This is for all of us. to have, right? Like we say, right, this is your museum, we're just taking care of it. But yeah, like thank you so much for just being here, for being apt to talk. That's how we go through these things, right? That's how we help one another. And so thank you so much. You can go explore the rest of the museum. We do have a gift shop, FYI, which today, if you do a Google review, you get 15% off. Okay. Among many other things, we also have a membership program too. But yeah, just thank you so much for being here. Really.
Thank you. Thank you for the knowledge.
Or the least I can. But Dare, you guys can do whatever you want.
So you guys did something you didn't get enough of, you know? Until 2 o'clock.
It's 11:45 right now. I know some people came later and didn't get to catch some of the other exhibits, so I'm gonna stick around till 12. That way folks can catch whatever they missed if they wanted to see something again. I'm gonna walk over to Dope Drip. It's a 10-minute walk. I got my sneakers on. So if anybody wants to walk over there, if you guys want to drive over there, obviously you're welcome to Uber, what have you. If you want to go over there now, you can as well. Just say Uber for Love. They'll tell you whatever they got going on. So yeah, welcome to meet us over there. If y'all want to just hang out till 12, there's also bathrooms here, so please visit the gift shop, visit any other exhibits, and then we'll reconvene in the front at 12. Sound good? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.